Driving a car can teach you a lot about navigating your way through life. People oftentimes take for granted the amount of freedom that we enjoy in America, and as high schoolers, we ought to start taking advantages and initiatives to maximize our futures. Coming into high school is like taking a written driving exam. You study as much as possible because you want to be prepared to take control of the wheel. But no matter how much you think you're ready, the real learning comes from your future experiences on the road. Freshmen come into the upper school ready to conquer the next 4 years. They're young, ambitious, and they think they have everything figured out. But as you get in the driver's seat for the first time with your permit, you're scared. You thought you were ready, but you quickly realize the reality of driving is far different than what you had previously imagined. The biggest goal of high schoolers is to get prepared for the future. But, of course, we need the guidance of those around us who have experience. This time period is critical, very similar to the period of time that young drivers spend with their permits. In time, as things begin to smooth out and you enhance your skills on the road, you feel more confident. High school students have plenty of time to grow into mature beings and control their own destinies. High school is a time for these students to figure out who they are and what they want to do. Many are scared to drive on their own, but it is imperative that students learn to get behind the wheel in their respective lives. Your life is yours to live and nobody else's. One of the scariest things about both living and driving is shifting gears. I can very distinctly remember learning how to drive my own car and trying to find the perfect balance between shifting and clutching. I attempted many a time to get my car moving from a standstill, but every single time I stalled. I eventually gave up after a week of failure, and it wouldn't be until 2 months later that I sat in the driver's seat again. This time, I was able to get my car to roll and eventually glide as I finagled with my clutch pedal. It was difficult, but in time, I figured it out. What I learned from this experience is that we cannot forget that everyone falls flat on their face once in a while. The only thing that you can do in these situations is turn your engine back on and start over. Why dwell on your failures when you can focus on your future? Learn from what you did wrong and strive to overcome your weaknesses. After all, you cannot change the past, but you can decide where to take your future. Along the way, I learned how to make smooth transitions and not be afraid of shifting. Shifting or change is scary. Human nature tells us to clutch onto our past because they aren't unpredictable. We know for certain what has already happened, but we can never be certain what will come. It's important to realize that in the end, you won't go anywhere if you never let the clutch out. If I hadn't put my Jeep into gear in the first place, then I would never have started moving. Another important thing to consider is that you cannot avoid change. When I drive down the highway in my Jeep, I don't leave it in first gear because I would only be able to go so far. I have no choice but to shift. Avoiding change will restrict your potential, and shifting gears will open many new routes on your highway. On the flip side of both of these points, nobody should ditch their past altogether. Throwing the clutch out all at once will surely send you forward, very quickly, I might add. However, your engine will stop abruptly. Learn how to transition from past to present. Don't forget where you came from, and never burn your bridges. You would not be the person you are today without your past. In the end, if there's one thing that I want all of you to take away from this speech, it's this. In life, you will inevitably have to shift gears. Move forward with a positive outlook on your future, and don't always be afraid of the unknown. Ultimately, you'll never know which roads you could have traveled on if you can't even get to them in the first place. Shift smoothly and with confidence, and no matter what, don't ever grind your gears. Thank you.